Yeah. Lord Brunson back at you with the back at you, and I am the best reporting on the Eagles. Listen, before we get into the meat and potatoes, this video is brought to you by Manscaped, featuring a lawnmower 4.0, all type of products for men's, upkeep. Before she come and play on the grass, make sure the grass trimmed with Manscaped. Make sure you check it out. Use code Brunson, save 20% off, and the free shipping I for that for y'all. Yeah, this upcoming week also, I was able to catch up with Devin Caney, and we talked Eagles. You know what I mean? It's a vibe. It was a movie. We talked about it, man. We talked running backs. We talked it all. Really glad to have her on and glad to present this content to you guys. Should be coming out this upcoming week. And let's talk about it, man. The Philadelphia Eagles are officially in the hunt. How do you feel about that? Just take a second and ask yourself, a deep collective sigh, how do you feel about us being in the hunt after everything we've been through? With so many games left to play, we're actually in the hunt. We're actually in this thing. It's actually still wide open in terms of who will make the playoffs and who won't make the playoffs. The Philadelphia Eagles got a shot at this thing, especially with there being an extra wild card slot. And we talk about the historical pace that we didn't run the ball, and it's turned into a historical pace that we are running the ball. I mean, this is the most since 1950. We have almost 750 rushing yards in the last 3 weeks of Philadelphia Eagles football, and we're asserting physical dominance at the right time when you need to do it. We're asserting that dominance. Knowing that we have this type of game plan in the back pocket, and that can work for us almost at will, seemingly within from what you see from the last 3 weeks. It lets me know that we'll be able to assert this, especially against the Washington football team 2 times, who won't have Chase Young. You know what I mean? I think we're in a really good position when you look at our record and you look at us being in the hunt for a wild card spot, and then you look at the rest of the schedule that we have left. You got to feel promising about this, especially with the trend that is Nick Sirianni playing differently against quarterbacks that he respects. You know about Patrick Mahomes. You know about Tom Brady. You know about Derek Carr. You know about Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert and how he basically let those guys do what they wanted to do to our defense. They inflicted their will. They did what they did. They had us in a chokehold. Not even in a chokehold. They finessed us. They did nothing physical to beat us. He let them do what they wanted to do. But then he didn't do that to Bridgewater. He didn't do that to Matt Ryan. He didn't do that to other quarterbacks that he didn't really think highly of, like a Darnold or Jared Goff. You know what I mean? And I think in order to be a good defensive coordinator, you got to be one way, the same way with every team. You got to stick to what you believe is your winning formula. I think that he's going to stick to high pressure and making sure we continue to attack these rushing lanes with Davion Taylor, who's playing amazingly. TJ Edwards, he's found his guys that can be in a system that works for him. And I think it's going to work wonders, the game plan that we're currently running down the stretch, especially with some of these teams who are, quote-unquote, just as bad or if not worse than the Philadelphia Eagles that we playing. The Giants twice and the Washington football team twice. Then you got Dallas one more time. Then I believe you got the Jets, and that wraps it up. We only play one game with the testicular fortitude, of a team that think they could even talk down upon us. We should wipe the floor with the rest of this competition, especially being as though we went against juggernauts like Dallas. We went against Brady. We went against, Mahomes. We went against those teams. But it gets kind of tricky because Washington beat Brady. We didn't. You know what I mean? The Giants beat the Raiders. We didn't. It gets kind of tricky when you think about it in that aspect, but I think we match up perfect with those other teams in the division, and I'm really excited about the direction that we're headed going down the stretch of the season. Jalen Hurts seems to be getting better. Nick Sirianni seems to be getting better. Jonathan Gannon still is up in the air with me, to be honest. The personnel that's on the field seem to be gelling better. You see camaraderie. You see Darius Slay and Devontae Smith building a brotherhood. They're on two opposite sides of the ball. They're building a brotherhood. They're building a bond. The bond is so good that it's turned into content for us all to watch. They're building a bond. And that lets me know that the team is gelling. And Nick Sirianni, some guys are buying in. More, what I mean? If everybody's not buying in, the majority is buying into Nick Sirianni on his football team. They are. What do you do about the running back situation? I addressed this, a couple times already this week. I'm worried about, the Philadelphia Eagles going backwards, in my opinion. Now, I'm a guy, especially when it comes to football. If it ain't broke, you know what I mean. Don't try to fix it. It's nothing to fix. You know what I mean? If it's working well, then you got to stay with that. I think football is one of those sports. I don't agree with benching Miles Sanders, but I really feel strongly about Jordan Howard being the lead back the rest of the season. I think Jordan Howard is more capable of running the style of running that the Philadelphia Eagles are running. You need a power style run. You need a power style run to get the most out of this offensive line with these big bodies that can move as well and move pockets and move piles. Look at how the Baltimore Ravens were able to have Lamar Jackson as successful as he's been since he's won the MVP. That season and beyond, he's been successful because they implemented a power style running package. One in some years that had Mark Ingram, who is a Jordan Howard type runner. You know what I mean? It had power guys. They were looking at guys like Le'Veon Bell, who just was, released. But, I believe that, Miles Sanders got to be a part of this 1-2 punch. And I believe that Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard will complement each other very, very, very well. I'm not saying Boston Scott should be going anywhere either. Boston Scott is damn sure deserving of the reps that he's getting. Like, Boston Scott and Jordan Howard are a hell of a 1-2 punch. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like anybody that's going to, run competently after the way Jordan Howard has to set the tone. It can't be the other way for Miles Sanders. That's just the harsh truth. Jordan Howard is the tone setter because Jordan Howard goes in there and gets those 15 carries that I'm hoping that he gets the rest of the way. If he goes out there and get 15 carries, man, that team is going to be forced to bring guys down the box. Nobody wants to tackle Jordan Howard head on 15 times a game. You softening them up for Miles, then maybe Miles can get one of those explosive 60-yard house calls that we know he's capable of doing. We got one of the best running back rooms in the NFL for real, for real. Clearly. Think about it. Miles Sanders is averaging 4.8 yards a carry. You got Jordan Howard averaging 5.1, Boston Scott averaging 5.1, and then the cherry on top is Jalen Hurts averaging about 5.6 yards a carry. Clearly, we might have the best running back room in the division, and you know what I mean? And I would put our running back room up against a lot of running back rooms, you know what I'm saying, in the National Football League as well. I mean, how could you not have the best running back room? Look at who's rushed more than us in the last 3 weeks. Teams, you got to give it up at some point. And we found that we could lean on that, especially with our offensive line and the way that they can move and the way that they can play as well. Now, moving forward, my expectations for this team is definitely for them to give it all they got. Like, listen, we already got 3 first-round picks. You doing yourself no favors by tanking. The picks will be there. You're doing yourself no favors by tanking. You know what I mean? You're doing yourself no favors at all. So, Howie Roseman, my advice to him would be to, start looking at defensive talent. Stop looking at the quarterback position because that's locked down. Hurt season. Let me know what you think in the comments.